I think management is of a team is like quite similar across most levels if you take it seriously like we do. So like with training, with tactically and stuff, and obviously the pre-match stuff that we do is like it's quite similar across the board between our 18s, our 21s, and the first team. Obviously in this scenario of semi-professional, like we're dealing with lads who aren't full-time, but part-time, train twice a week if we're lucky. Obviously we're dealing with lads who like come from a full days of work to then come training, or come from a full week at work to then a game on a Saturday or a Tuesday night, which is obviously quite tough for some of them, depending on what type of work they do. And I think it's like obviously managing adults from all different backgrounds, managing adults from different development backgrounds as well. Like some have played at pro clubs in the past, some have been professional players in the past, some have played in a higher league than we're currently in, or some of them like this is the highest league they've played in, for example. So I think it's like probably like managing players, managing people is probably the biggest learning curve we've had this year from since we took over.
Yeah, I think the flip side as well is like just like Simon sort of said there, a little bit more about the full-time players, sort of making sure that our training regime fits the part-time players like Simon mentioned. I think on the other side of it as well as competition, so competitive football, there's a little bit more pressure on us, dealing with that sort of scenario of big crowds and so on. So, but listen, it's been a great learning curve and we're enjoying every minute of it at the moment, and we'll keep learning and keep getting better.
For the fans who do actually, like the fans who come watch the 21s team, I think that's probably our style of play. We like to play out from the back, like we like to build up, then obviously we like to be quite creative in the final third. But I think like obviously style of play, as much as we love to do that with the 21s, it's not quite the same as what we're seeing at Tadcaster this year. Like we're getting used to the players we've got, getting used to like which system fits the players the best. There's been signs of what we do in the 21s. We've been in the first team. I think Ossett Albion at home early in the season was like probably accumulation of everything that we want. We've just struggled to replicate that consistently, I think. But that's probably the style of play we want to go down. Ethos wise, I think like we want to make sure that we stick together, we're a team. Obviously we've had some really tough times this year, and we've had some good times this year as well. So it's all about the players sticking together and trying to move in one direction.
I think to add to that, I think the biggest thing is it takes time. It takes time. You can't do it overnight. There's a lot of players who come from different backgrounds, different styles of play. I think if you look at the majority of the players we brought in, from players like from Farsley and so on, they've come from a team that play. It's just trying to get the whole team to go in the same direction. And with only 2 training sessions a week, it's difficult. But we're getting there. You see signs of it. Like I said, we look at the bigger picture, and I think if we keep sort of hitting on with the players and keep doing the right training sessions and they believe in it, there might be a few changes within the personnel throughout the season or at the start of next season, but we'll keep believing it, keep working on it, and it'll gradually come together.
Again, our style of play is like from a full-time programme, so like trying to fit that full-time style of play into part-time players and training twice a week if games fit, then as Mike said, it does take a little bit of time. That's not an excuse for anything that's happened this year, but it's just a matter of fact.
Good question. If you look at personnel and you look at the players that were brought in, you could say so, yeah. But going back to what we were saying, it takes time. I think we've brought in 15 new players now. Also, we've introduced some of the young lads. It's just one of them. I think if we'd have got the momentum that we had in pre-season and got a few early results, then you never know what could have happened. Like you say, we've been up and down. We are, trying to speak to the players week in, week out, and see where they're at. And it's one of them things. Listen, if we could go on a bit of a run, could get ourselves into the playoffs. It could go the other way. But like I say, we look at the games, and we're disappointed with a couple of points that we've dropped this year. But it keeps happening now and again. So we probably deserve to be where we're at. Now what we've got to do is just look at it and go, right, how can we be better? Listen, I think we've got a squad that could make the playoffs. It's just whether we can do it this year. We'll definitely give it a good go between us and the players, and we'll just see where we end up.
Great question. There's been a couple of really good performances. I think probably at home I think the Offset Albion game, second game of the season, like I mentioned before, I think it was like that was our vision really of how we want the team to play or to operate most weeks. Obviously, I know consistency is like obviously a difficult part of it, but I think that was probably the best performance we've had this season. I think away from home, I thought Glossop away from home was a good result. Great team performance. It's kind of like how we want to play at home and how we want to play away. As I said, we've just struggled to replicate that on a consistent level.
For me, sort of when you asked us the question, Cone at home, I thought that was especially the second one. I think it was a good one because they played us in the FA Cup and beat us, and I thought we dominated the game, but the caught us on the counter and obviously beat us fair and square. But second game, obviously went 2-0 down, and to come back to win the game 3-2 was just I don't know, it was just a great feeling, and obviously all the players celebrating in the dugout, and it was good for the crowd. And what I loved the most is how we just stuck with playing the way we wanted to play, and obviously TC got a great goal to finish it off, so that sort of sprung to my mind. It was a great game, that one.